evening, and thank you for attending Building Your Toolbox, a monthly educational series where individuals learn a pain management strategy or skill. Tonight, we are happy to be joined by guest presenter and U.S. Pain Peer Support Group leader, Millie Quiñones-Dunlap, who will explore the power of writing as a practical strategy to gain clarity, reduce stress, and deepen your understanding of one's pain journey. I'm Michelle Rice, and I have lived with chronic pain for over 24 years and serve as the patient engagement lead for the U.S. Pain Foundation. Tonight, we will learn the role of expressive writing in pain management. Some of the things we will learn include the benefits of expressive writing in tracking symptoms and identifying patterns, how to use writing to organize thoughts and manage stress, techniques for setting writing goals to track progress and reflect on pain experiences, how writing can help clarify emotions and create a sense of control over pain, and tips for developing a consistent writing habit to enhance self-awareness and improve self-management. So I am really excited to introduce our guest presenter this evening, Millie Quiñones-Dunlap. Millie, known as hashtag Eyes of a Bronx Girl on social media, is a disabled New York State certified teacher and librarian, as well as a gifted writer and spoken word artist. For over 20 years, she has navigated life with chronic pain, using writing as a powerful tool to explore the intricate physical and emotional dimensions of her journey. As a peer support group leader for U.S. Pain, leading both the writing room and the reading room, Millie has dedicated the past 4 years to fostering community, creativity, and healing through storytelling and shared experiences. Through her evocative poetry and vignettes, Millie has meticulously documented her pain journey, weaving together reflections of resilience and joy. She is currently working on a memoir, Through the Eyes of a Bronx Girl, Living a Joyful Life with Pain, which she hopes will inspire others to find light even in their darkest moments.
Buddy. I'm Millie Quiñones-Dunlap. I currently live in Rochester, New York. It's where I reside, but I am always coming to you through the eyes of a Bronx girl. That's what I say every day in the daily group. I just wanted to say thank you for having me. Thank you, Michelle and Sarah, for hosting me today. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to talk to you about writing. Did you ever ask yourself, like, how did you get somewhere? Like, how did I get here? Sitting here with you right now, talking about pain and writing. How did that happen? Well, I'll tell you. When I was in the deepest part of my pain journey and I felt like I had nothing left to think about, to talk about, to do, I felt like I had nothing to give. I found this class. It was through the public library. It was free. It was called Writing to Heal. And I said, I better do this. It was like a 6-week, once a week class. And I went in there with Anais Celebian. Thank you, Anais. And I wound up taking that course 3 times because the first time I didn't get it. The second time I was like, maybe writing can heal. And then the third time I finally caught on what writing exactly does for the mind and the body. Now, I've always been a writer. I've always done it. I've been writing since I lived in the Bronx. As a matter of fact, I may just drop a little something for you right now. Bronx eyes, Bronx walk, Bronx mouth, Bronx talk. The Bronx is a big part of me. City sounds, city streets, city smells, city days, how I love you in so many ways. Bronx Zoo, the Whitestone Cinema, Skate Key. The Bronx is a big part of me. Sirens screaming, subway screeching, shoppers standing in line. Better leave 1 hour early to be on time. Excuse me, miss, do you have a dime? Reminisce with me so you can see how my life used to be in the Bronx. 25-cent bag of chips, life's a trip. Remember this slang, oh, dip, I'm about to flip on you. You see, don't roll your eyes, I'll give you a big surprise. There'll be no compromise when I bust your butt after class. Funny how time flies so fast as I reminisce about the past. Doodle Brown, the running man, the electric slide, the pepper seed, the Bismarck, the bogle, the wop, the butterfly. Now these are the dances that soothe me. I thought my youth would last longer. I am so much stronger. I used to fight. That wasn't right. I got beat up. I lost a tooth. The root of my anger. My parents split. How hard it hit me. You see, my world went nonstop. Hip hop, one boppity bop, two boppity bop, double Dutch freeze tag, hot peas and cold butter, hot potatoes now with layers. The Bronx is a big part of me. Can't you see? The Bronx is a big part of me. Now, I wrote that. Well, thank you. I wrote that when I had just moved up here to Rochester. Now, the Bronx to Rochester is about 5 long hours, 362 miles. That was a long way from home, not knowing anybody with a baby and a husband, a brand new husband. So it was a lot to handle. And I wanted to go home. So that's all I could think about was the smells, the senses. And I say that for a reason, because when we're in the writing room, I see a lot of faces from the writing room here. What do? We pay attention to our 5 senses. And that was all I could think about when I first moved up here, right? And now the purpose of me reciting that to you is I have two short other pieces that I'm going to recite, and it shows the essence of the journey. If I had never written that piece that day, I wouldn't remember how I felt when I first moved here. This is before I got injured. This is regular Millie. This is like old school Millie, you know? I would not have remembered that day, those moments so well, so fresh in my mind. I was in my 20s. Now I'm 52. I'm going to be 53. So this particular piece right here, I wrote right in when I was doing the Writing to Heal class, when I was broken in a million pieces, shattered by pain. Okay. It's called As a Lobster Grows. I would love to get away from my pain. I want to run away from the anguish I feel on a day-to-day basis. I should stop wasting time on something I can't have. I can't have peace. I can't feel relaxed because of my physical pain and anxiety. I lost my joy, and for the life of me, no matter how hard I try, I can't find it anymore. As the lobster grows, the casing of the shell becomes too tough and rigid. The shell that once protected them must shed in order for them to continue growing. It's called molting. This makes the lobster's bare skin vulnerable to the salt water and the environment that comes with the ocean. It's a very painful experience. It happens repeatedly as the lobster grows out of each new shell until it grows to average size. Every time the shell tears away, it comes back thicker, making the lobster resilient and stronger. And every time we go through trials and tribulations or trauma and we feel broken down, it's then that we grow thicker and become stronger and stronger. We bounce back, become tougher, more resilient, and harder to break. In order to get there, we must be willing to let our walls down sometimes. And we have to let our walls down and feel whatever we need to feel. I wrote that probably 2025. I wrote that 10 years ago. And I really did feel like I would never have joy in my life again. This is before US Pain Foundation. And that's just not true. That is 100% false. And I didn't know at that time. That was my pain brain talking to me. And then I wrote an updated Bronx piece as a 50-something-year-old woman. Perspective, right? Bronx eyes, Bronx walk, Bronx mouth, Bronx talk. The Bronx is a big part of me. Bronx eyes. This is what I see. The Bronx prepared me for my disability by giving me the ability to have adaptability and flexibility during times of instability. Bronx walk. We don't stop trying. We don't quit. We don't run from a challenge. It's not in our nature. We don't quit. We stalk. Fat Joe, the rapper, said it best. We're from the Bronx, New York, where things happen. And we are ready every single day. It's instilled in us. I learned to walk with my head up, with my chest puffed, and I learned to mind my business. That Bronx mouth, always ready to fight the good fight or the bad fight. A fight is a fight. Big mouth and quick hands, self-sabotage and quicksand. That is just in our DNA. Test us and we will jack you up one way or the other, intellectually, mentally, physically, verbally, non-verbally, social cues. You'll lose those words or otherwise Bronx talk is wisdom with age. Choose wisely. The Bronx taught me how to function under pressure. Time is always of the essence. There will always be a crowd. You have to fight to be seen, fight to be heard. Even pigeons scrap to be heard. Strive for excellence. It's a built-in confidence that never withers. We deliver. Bronx soul, resilient and quick-witted. We shout over the noise of the train above the L and the boogie down. The sirens, the cars blasting music, the noise, it soothes me. The convo keeps flowing, the cracks and the snaps keep going while you walk with a slice and a Pepsi. You wait for quiet or a moment to be heard, you'll be waiting forever. You push your way through the crowds, fast-paced and dutiful, pacing your aggression just right until you are pushed to the brink. Then you get assertive or aggressive. Before you take a moment to think, it happens. Being a Bronx girl kept me focused for something more, and I knew there was something else out there for me. My eclectic childhood made me the adult I am today. My adolescent angst gained me the internal fortitude to keep going when I wanted to quit. I have been training for pain my whole entire life. The Bronx is a state of mind. It's a cultural stopping ground for the birthplace of hip hop, and I'm a Gen Xer who witnessed it all firsthand. The dances, the clothes, cassettes, the records, the beauty of it all. How lucky I was to grow up a Bronx girl. I'm strong. I'm resilient. I'm thoughtful and caring and empathetic and helpful. I was broken, but now my pieces have been put back together by my very own Bronx heart. How lucky I am to be a little angry, a little broken, a little disgruntled, mindful, peaceful, pain, blessed, and beautiful on the inside. I feel deeply. I am a beautiful Bronx girl, and I'm loved. Bronx eyes, Bronx walk, Bronx mouth, Bronx talk. The Bronx is a big part of me. Can't you see? The Bronx, that's a big part of me. So, my friends, the trajectory over time from when I was 20 something to when I was in my late 30s and 40s and thought, like, what the hell am I going to do with my life now? I have nothing, to now, it takes work. And that's what I want to talk to you about. So can we just bring up the slides? Okay. You know, like in the writing room, I record. I forgot to press start so I can make sure I don't go over time. Okay, so writing as a tool for clarity. Isn't that what we're talking about here, clarity? Exploring the role of expressive writing in pain. Next slide, Miss Sarah. Thank you very much. Okay, severe chronic pain. I thought this was a really interesting quote from Dr. David Hanscom, who's in Seattle, Washington, and he has this book called Action Plan. It's an action plan book, and he also has back in control. So it's a surgeon's roadmap out of chronic pain. This is actually a surgeon who was in chronic pain, who got himself out of chronic pain, and he also has a podcast called Back in Control Radio. So severe chronic pain can be compared to falling into an abyss, leaving sufferer depressed, anxious, angry, and socially isolated. In fact, studies have revealed that the impact of chronic pain on a person's quality of life is equivalent to that of terminal cancer. Chronic pain is equivalent to that of terminal cancer. Okay? Can we access the next slide, or should I just keep, because I have it right here too. Okay, while Cyrus, there we go. All right, now, treatment that targets acute pain rather than chronic pain addresses the physical aspect. How many of us go to the doctor and the first thing they ask us is, how are you feeling emotionally with your chronic pain? That's not the first thing that comes out of their mouth. They want to know what your symptoms are. They want to know how to treat it. And then you go home, right? Because that's how we treat the physical aspect of pain. That is Western medicine, right? Not saying anything bad about any doctors. That's just how it's done. However, when we use expressive writing addresses the emotional and the neurological connections to pain. So what does that mean exactly? There have been over 1,000 studies done that says that if you use writing, and expressive writing really is a fancy way of saying journaling, writing poetry, making a list, doodling, just writing the first thing that comes out of your from the top of your head. It's tapping into your subconscious and just writing what's on your mind. You can write fragments. You don't have to write complete sentences. It's using your 5 senses. The 5 senses: smell, sound, taste, sight, it's that, and touch. I always forget the last one, and touch. Okay. And there have been over, since 1989, there's a Dr. James Pennebaker who did he's the first one, okay? He's the one who started doing all these studies regarding writing and pain. It's equivalent to taking medication. It calms the central nervous system. It brings things down a little bit. There have been over 1,000 expressive studies done in neuroscience literature that document healing power for both mental and physical disorders since 1989, over 1,000. And they all do prove that when people, okay, I'm going to tell you, Dr. Pennebaker, in one of his studies, he had 2 different groups of students, right? One group of students had to write about a traumatic experience, and they had to write in detail using their 5 senses. Really, tell me how you felt for 6 weeks, maybe an hour. I don't know, I'm making them times 20 to 30 minutes. Every time they went, right? And then the other group just had to write, what color is your room? What color are the clothes you're wearing? Well, the group who really wrote about their feelings, let me tell you what, their blood pressure went down, their grades were more likely to stay up, they were more likely to get a job, they stayed out of they were less likely to be sick, they stayed out of the student health center more often, they were more successful, they were more confident. And the act of writing, just going like this, like pretending you're writing, like that. The act of writing causes the brain to release hormones that calm the central nervous system. Next one, Sarah, please. Now, let me tell you what. You ever notice when you get upset? If you get upset or you get angry or you're feeling irritated and your day's not going well, your pain is worse, right? Let me tell you, intense feelings can trigger, emphasize, or create a sensation of pain when there's no physical cause. And pain triggers operate below our conscious level, our conscious awareness. That's why when we're in the writing room, I'm always telling people, don't think too hard about this question. Just tap into your subconscious. Because is there a way for us, can everybody see the brain? Because I can't. You can? Okay. You see the healthy brain? On the left-hand side is the healthy brain, and on the right-hand side is the chronic pain brain. There's more blue activity on the healthy brain. The blue activity is the awareness to problem solve, to be able to do whatever it is that needs to get done. But on the other side, the thinking, the blue activity is like how much we're thinking and analyzing and that kind of stuff. And the gray matter on the right-hand side, it leads the brain to be kind of inactive, which causes the depression and the anxiety and the insomnia. So for those of us who are having chronic pain, and for those of you who may be new to chronic pain and may be feeling these feelings of depression and anxiety, you can't sleep at night, don't feel like you're alone. It's all of us. And it's because there are things that are going on in our brain that we just don't understand. The cortisol, and when all that gray matters in our brain, the cortisol levels are higher. The serotonin, which makes us happy, is lower. But when we write, guess what goes higher? The cortisol. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, this is where we talk about the writing and what we do in the writing room. Now, How writing, oh, well, track systems and identifying patterns, using writing to organize and manage stress, right? How do we do that? Well, you could come to the writing room every week. You can do that. The first, second, fourth, and fifth Monday from 1 to 2:30. Look at me knowing what time. And then, or at home, when you're at home, you can just start writing down your feelings. You don't need a fancy journal. You don't need one of those apps that you pay for that you have to write in. All you need is a little notebook and a pen, and you just write your feelings down. That's it. That is it. You can track it. You can set a timer. You can start your timer for 5 minutes. That's called stacking. Don't go for like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and write 30 minutes a day for the next 6 weeks. Man, are you? So set a timer for 5 minutes, and I bet you, dollar bet you, that you'll write for 15. Because once you start that dump, you will just keep going and going. And some people say, well, my hands hurt, I can't write. That's okay. There are different modalities you can use. If your hands hurt too much and you can't write, you can record yourself if you want. And you can also I can't think of the other thing that we do. Sorry, I can't think of it right now. Type it. I don't know what you, yeah, or type it. But even if typing hurts, then you can always record yourself, or dictation too on the computer. Like you can either do it on your phone or on the computer. Okay. You can do a morning pages. So in the morning, first thing you do, that's a really good idea. Sometimes it's difficult and you have to be disciplined about it. You get up in the morning. I know Sarah's saying, shaking her head, because Sarah does that. Get up in the morning, first thing you do, sit down with your notebook and just dump whatever's in your mind. Your mind ever just goes and goes and goes, and you can't stop thinking. You can't stop thinking. In the writing room, I always say you take it from here and you take it from here, which is the heart. Take it from the mind and the heart, and you put it on paper. And then you become a natural observer of your thoughts. So you are now on the outside of your feelings and your emotions, and you're reading it as somebody else. And that's how you can tell, did what I just write, how true is that? Did I write that because I was mad? Or did I write that because that is how I really feel? And it gives you a minute to really think about it. And I'm going to tell you about Dr. Pennebaker's 4-day exercise for perspective. It's a 4-day process. On day 1, you just get your notebook. If you have something going on and you're really upset about it, get your notebook, and this is when you set your timer for 20, because this is a big deal. You set your timer for 20 minutes and you just write all your feelings down, right? On day 2, get your highlighter. Or if you don't have a highlighter, take a pen and highlight the parts of day 1 that were important. And then on day 2, you only write about what you highlighted on day 1, because that's perspective. So now we are taking the important parts of day 1 and we are analyzing that on day 2. We're going to do the same thing on day 2. We're going to, on day 3, read day 2, highlight, and then analyze day 3 on day 4. And we're going to do the same thing on day 4. By the time you get to day 5, you'll have resolution to that big dramatic situation you had going on 4 days ago, all inside your own head. That's how that works. And I've done it. Trust me, I have done it several times and it really does work. Techniques for setting writing goals to track progress. Oh, SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievability, relevant, and time-bound goals. So you can go to Google and write SMART goals and say, I want to write every day for 5 minutes for the next week. Boom. There's your SMART goal. 1 week at a time. You don't have to do it forever. You don't have to do it for a month, and you don't have to do it for an hour. Start with 5. And I promise you'll do it longer than that. You can set an alarm every day if you want. Oh, gotta write. Time to write. Don't forget to write. Or you can create a writing routine. Write at night. Do a night dump, so that you're not going to bed with everything and all the things you got to do tomorrow, all the things that were bothering you from the day before. Let it go. You don't have to share it with anybody. You could share it with everybody. You could throw it in the garbage, or you could keep it in your notebook and collect them like I did. I have notebooks since I was 18 years old, thinking I was crazy back then. And I'm still crazy, and I own it too. Okay. So you can, okay. Oh, this is a good one. And then I'm going to be done after that. You keep a night, like at night, for those of us who have either, nightmares, or you keep waking up, or you can't sleep, or you're disturbed at night, keep a notebook next to you. And if thoughts come to you and you're like, oh, I'll remember that tomorrow. No, you won't. Take your little notebook, write it down, even if you just jot down what you were thinking of, especially if it's a gem. Write it down, because if you don't, you'll lose it. So these are some of the things that you can do. And statistically speaking, oh, also, last thing, I know I said that was my last thing, but gratitude. Write about what you're grateful for. That is so important. 3 things a day. Write what you're grateful for. Doing that, you get resilience, improved mood, your brain chemistry changes. You get more dopamine and serotonin. Remember we saw those brains? One was blue, one was gray. The good thing about that is that that's not permanent brain damage. We can reverse that. Neuroplasticity. We can do that by changing little thoughts in our head, by changing our activity levels, by writing, all of that, eating healthy. So get that dopamine, get that serotonin, get that positive and wellness, and get to writing. And come to the writing room, my friends. I'll be there waiting for you.